am I not home? Why did I have to take a plane ride? I walked around Veterans Park. I walked around Lakeshore State Park. I have a tendency to fall off. Someone who cannot even draw a stick figure properly. See, here's some things to keep in mind if you are in the area. Forward to this moment where I can actually take a moment and update you on what's going on. Why am I not home? Why did I have to take a plane ride? What is happening? We actually find ourselves in Milwaukee. It is Wednesday, July 22nd, and I will be here for several days because I am taking a course for work. And it just happens that it takes place here in Wisconsin. It takes place from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's not really a lot of time to explore Milwaukee to its full potential. I heard that there are beautiful places here to visit and to take a peek at, but we can still take advantage of what it has to offer in the limited free time that we have today because it's only noon at this time and also the following evenings. My last day here is Sunday, but my flight departs early in the morning, so I can't really consider that a visiting day. But we'll make the most of what we have. I look a little crazy, but it's kind of expected because I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. I managed to leave my house around 5. And actually, a good information if you're from Boston or the Boston area, you do not have to drive all the way to the airport for you to catch your flight. They have several locations around the city, Woburn, Danvers, Back Bay, Braintree, and I believe Framingham, where you can actually either get dropped off and then take the bus that will bring you to the airport, or you can park your car there for much cheaper than if you were to bring your car to the airport itself. It helped me tremendously this morning because I did have someone that was able to drop me off. I got a 5:30 a.m. bus. It took maybe 30 or 35 minutes to get to the airport. I didn't have to worry about traffic. My loved ones didn't have to brave the traffic out of Boston, so that was also a plus. It was actually very easy. It cost about $9. That's because I purchased the tickets online. I believe that if you buy them in person, which you can, they are a little more expensive. Maybe I'll leave you a link in the description box. But it's actually a very convenient option that if you didn't know about, you should consider because it's actually very helpful. So I was in the bus around 5:30, got to the airport around 6, a little after 6. And my flight departed at 9 a.m. The flight itself for me was very smooth, no delays. I actually have no complaints. Fun fact about me, if you don't know, is that every time I'm on a flight, the one thing that I have to have is a cup of orange juice. And if I fly Delta, of course, I have to have my Biscoff cookie. I absolutely love this combination, but you will never catch me having it on a daily basis. It has to happen on the plane only. I was able to keep up with my routine this time as well, so it put me in a great mood. I took a lift to the hotel. The check-in is actually at 3 p.m. As I mentioned to you, it's only noon here, but I thought it might be worth it just stopping by at the reception, and they were very nice to me and they let me check in early at no charge just because the room was available. My initial plan was to leave my luggage there and just go out and explore, but this is actually turning out to be a much better option. I thought that I should give you a tour of the room. I know when I watch travel vlogs, this is one of the things that I enjoy seeing for some reason. And I would like to give you this tour before I make a mess in here. I typically try to keep all my stuff together, but you know, it looks much nicer now than after I live here for a few days. So let's take advantage of that. And one last thing I want to do is after I show you the room, I don't know if you guys do this, but I definitely do. I have to inspect every single inch of this mattress to make sure that there aren't any unwelcome visitors in here. Do you guys do that? Because I do. Every place I go, no matter how cheap or expensive the hotel is, the Airbnb, no matter how many reviews it has, I always check the mattress, I always check the linen, and I take a peek around the carpet too, and I encourage you to do the same because you never know. But on a different note, let me turn you around and show you the room. As expected, it all starts with the entry door. That brings you into this hallway, and the hallway leads you into the main room. I left my stuff to the left for now until I do my thorough check. And then there's this full-size mirror to my right. The room itself is not too big, but it's spacious enough, especially because it's just me. We have a queen-size bed, plenty of plugins for charging station, big window, and I'll show you the view in a moment. A little sitting area with a chair, a lamp, some artwork, and then last but not least, the TV. I don't know what you guys like to watch when you find yourself staying in hotels, but there's something about Food Network and food shows that hit completely different when you're away from home. So you know for sure that's what I'm going to be watching. I enjoyed this personal touch with my name on the TV. I believe that if you come with a family or friends and you book this room in addition to the one on the other side, you can interconnect them, but we're not going to be doing that. We do not want to see our neighbors. This is the hallway where we came from. The bathroom is very tiny, but it has, oops, wrong one. But it has everything you need, from the toilet, the sink, mirror, towels, soap, lotion, shower, bathtub, and of course, body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. I'm actually gonna get out of here because there's not a lot of room. What I was super excited about, and that's how I know I'm getting old, is that in addition to having a closet, they left me an iron and a steamer. Yes, some of my clothes look like they are wrinkled paper bags. So this is my solution right here. You let me know how I did for my first room tour, and what would you like to see in future room tours if we're ever gonna do this again. But I promised you I'm gonna show you the view. I'm not sure who's next door. I'm hoping it's housekeeping. If not, those guests have been hearing me talk to myself for the past few minutes, and I'm sure they're thrilled to have a cuckoo crazy person by them, but it's fine. Everything is fine. This is the view outside the window. We get a glimpse of the city on this side and also in the back. Yes, unfortunately, we do have to look at this rooftop. However, it could have been worse. I've stayed in hotels before where the view was a beautiful brick wall. So it's not the case with this stay. I believe the lake is over there to the right. But to be honest, I'm a little disoriented. So as soon as I figure out, I'll let you guys know. It's time for me to check the mattress and the carpets, freshen up a little bit, charge my phone, and then we're gonna hit the road. I'm so excited. The Milwaukee Art Museum was a really pleasant surprise and ended up being such a great visit. The first impression you get as you walk through the main entrance is almost enough to make the stop worth it on its own. The modern open space immediately draws your eye around, and there are many details that demand your attention. If it reminds you a little bit of a certain building in New York, there's a reason for that. This part of the museum was designed by the same architect who later worked on the Oculus World Trade Center. The two buildings have some pretty recognizable similarities, as you can see. But those wings you saw above the museum, they actually move. It takes about 3.5 minutes for them to open or close, which I think makes this already impressive building even more fascinating. Once you get into the galleries, there really is something for everyone. I personally found myself drawn to all the objects, the clocks and the watches, the furniture, the decorative pieces, and especially to the craftsmanship behind them. I love seeing how everyday objects such as a board game, a chair, a dresser, they can be made for a practical purpose while also being designed to bring beauty into the spaces around us. And of course, in addition to all the furniture, the ceramics, the glass, and the other decorative pieces, this museum has lots and lots and lots of paintings. As someone who cannot even draw a stick figure properly, seeing what other people can create with their own hands has always fascinated me. I'm especially in awe and honestly a little confused by how people are able to render different textures of nature or clothes. Like, how do you paint jewelry, lace and velvet, facial expressions? But what has always struck me the most is light and shadows. And during this visit, I did find myself dragging down the exposure on my camera just a little bit. I wanted to better emphasize those contrasts and appreciate the work that went into creating them. The museum has quite a few different sections, including galleries dedicated to contemporary art, but on this particular visit, I found myself much more drawn to the art from the past. I just came out of the museum. I think I've been in there for about an hour and 40 minutes. They have various exhibits, and I do think it's worth checking them out if you're in the area. The building itself is gorgeous, and in a moment I'm going to show you another angle of it. But the exhibits inside are also beautiful. They have a European section, and then they have an American section. There's also more of a modern art section. They did mention at the entrance that they recommend about 2 hours in order to be able to see everything. Look how beautiful it is. I really enjoyed this visit. So if you're in the area, I definitely think it's worth giving a try. Let me show you this building from a different angle. It's so beautiful. I'm making my way now from the Art Museum to the Veterans Park, which is about a 15 minute walk. It's super pleasant outside. The weather is very nice. I'm surprised because the area I'm in is very walkable, which is a great thing. But it's almost 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and there's almost no traffic. You know, coming from Boston, not seeing as many cars on the road, it's very weird and bizarre. I made it back to the hotel, and on my way back home, I made 2 stops. One at TJ Maxx because I really needed a belt. Apparently, out of all the belts that I have at home, I brought exactly none. And the jeans that I brought with me, they have a tendency to fall off. So a belt is much needed and appreciated. My second stop was at Walgreens just because it's closer to my hotel, and I was able to get some snacks and some water just to have it up here. I will show you exactly what I got. Starting strong here with my receipt, it looks like I spent about $28. I cannot leave without water, so I needed to have enough water in the room. I got Cheez-Its as snack, a few trail mixes, a few travel essentials, and then last but not least, the belt. This is the catch of the day. place like home. And I agree with that. I wanted to come here and conclude this video, but also to give you my final thoughts. I feel like Milwaukee is one of those cities that do deserve more than a quick visit. The main reason I was there, like I mentioned, was for a 3-day course, but it took place from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So a lot of the things that I was interested in visiting or touring unfortunately closed at 4:30. By the time I finished the class, there wasn't really a whole lot open to tour or explore, so I spent a lot of time outside. And I knew from the beginning that this was gonna be more work-related trip and not necessarily sightseeing. But as I mentioned, I did want to take advantage of the opportunity, and the goal was to make the most of the evenings, which I think I did my best. I'm actually happy. I still managed to visit the Milwaukee Art Museum. I walked around Veterans Park. I walked around Lakeshore State Park. I wandered through the public market. And of course, I spent some time admiring beautiful buildings like the City Hall, the public library, and so on. But I do know that I barely scratched the surface. So here's some things to keep in mind if you are in the area and if you have more time than me at your disposal. Every website that I checked out when it comes to visiting Milwaukee, they mentioned the historic Third Ward, which is an area of the city always recommended when it comes to seeing old brick buildings, little cafes, and so on. There's the Riverwalk, where you can spend time strolling along the water, maybe sit down for a meal. I believe they even have some boat rides, so that's another way to see the city. There's the Harley-Davidson Museum. That also seems to be one of the city's biggest attractions. Even if you're not particularly into motorcycles, I would have liked to have a chance to go see it just for the history of it. It turns out that Milwaukee is also very big when it comes to beer making. So yes, I don't drink beer, but I would have loved to take a tour of a brewery and to see the process behind beer making. I would have skipped the taste tasting part at the end, but that's fine. Another place to keep in mind is Mitchell Park Domes. It's also really unique and a wonderful place to visit, especially if you're a plant lover. I, a few years ago, had a layover in Milwaukee and I had just enough time to visit one thing, and that's the place I chose. I have some pictures, maybe I will leave them on the screen somewhere, but there's 3 beautiful domes. One has more of a desert climate, the other one has more of a tropical climate, and I believe the third one they always change up. So even if you visited before, you can still find something new over there. And I wish I was able to go back because I remember enjoying that a lot. I guess what I'm trying to say is that my few hours in the city felt more like a quick introduction, and I still have a list of places that I would genuinely like to come back to. It's a good sign, right? It just means I have a reason to return. We'll see when. But I wanted to thank you also for joining me on this adventure. I hope you found this video interesting or entertaining. I look forward to your feedback, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!